it's gotta be. I didn't talk to you and I didn't know, but if none of us could get on, then there's more.
I call this meeting of Millersville Borough Council to order. As of 7:01, this meeting is being live streamed. I'd ask you all now please stand and pledge allegiance to the flag and remain standing for a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. All right, let's start this meeting with a motion to approve the August 13th, 2024 council meeting minutes. Do I hear a motion?
So.
Any discussion required on the minutes? Very well. All those in favor of approving the August 13th minutes, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes unanimously. Before moving into citizens' requests or concerns, the mayor has asked for a few minutes of our time.
Thank you very much. As you recall, about a month ago, we brought two candidates before you for police officers, full-time police. For about 2.5 years. So I'm very happy for tonight, and I'd like for Tracy Starry and Rebecca Pfeiffer to please step forward. Both of you can go together and just follow after me. I state your name.
I, Tracy Starr.
Do solemnly swear the Constitution of the United States.
The Constitution of the United States.
And the Constitution of this Commonwealth.
And the Constitution of this Commonwealth.
And I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity.
And that I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity.
Officers, congratulations. Welcome to Millersville Borough. President, members of council, I appreciate it.
Mayor? At this time, council will hear any comments, requests, or concerns for members of the public related to items on the agenda or other matters. You'll have up to 5 minutes to speak. Please come to either microphone and speak, or ask the microphone be brought to you. Please give your name and a general address for the record. Probably should have waited a few minutes. I didn't know who was standing up to speak and who was making their way out after Mass.
I guess not.
Busy.
Yeah, they're one of our audiences, right? Bye, y'all.
All right, well. In that case, we'll move on to our next agenda item. We have a presentation from the Lancaster Public Library. Mr. John, is that Heinley? If you would, please. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks so much for the invitation and giving us a little bit of time this evening. I do have a PowerPoint that you all will see. There are also some hard copies. I'll just leave those here if that's all right. If anybody, either from council or the community, wants those, you can feel free to grab those this evening. Yeah, I'm John Heinley. I'm the Director of Donor Advising for Lancaster Public Library. And with me is Karina Burns, our Director of Library Services, who is preferring that I speak unless if you have questions at the end that she can answer better than me. So Yeah, we really appreciate you giving us the chance to share a little bit of an update on Lancaster Public Library, the services that it's offering to the community, and how your citizens are doing. And I understand that a few of you are new to council, so you've not heard this thing that we do every year where we give a report, and thank you for your contribution in this year and invite your contribution next year. So I will try to cover some things that maybe for the rest of you are would be review. So bear with me if you're hearing this for the, I don't know how many at the time. So Lancaster Public Library is made up of the downtown and Mountville branches. Our system in Lancaster County is a little bit confusing. I started in November. So the library system of Lancaster County is one entity and provides services to the community and also to each of our libraries, such as the catalog, library cards, the movement of the books between libraries. But otherwise, each of the libraries operates independently, and our independent library happens to be 2 branches, Lancaster and Mountville. And so on the next slide, you'll see our mission and vision. Access to vital educational resources, exceptional programming, and community building opportunities, the Lancaster Public Library is recognized as a dynamic center of knowledge and a cornerstone of a thriving Lancaster community. Next. Here are a few stats to show how in the past year in 2023, Millersville Borough residents specifically utilized the library. So 16% of the residents in 2023, over 11,000 materials were checked out by Millersville residents alone from the library. And that amounts to an equivalent of $289,000 worth of free resources that the community, the Millersville Borough specifically, community has utilized. And that does not count other things that people would do in terms of programs or other resources that they would access at the library that aren't actually checked out items. And in terms of those other things that the library offers, here are just a handful of the things. Again, some of these I learned about in November. I didn't know about until joining the staff. And some really exciting things. I won't go into all of them in detail, but there's some really fun stuff, like recently I checked out a parachute for National Night Out for our neighborhood block party. That's one of the things you can get. Ukuleles. Things like that. Of course, we offer programming, and we also offer e-resources. And there's like a streaming service in that that's almost like a Netflix account. So that can be accessed for free. But the top 2 there, I want to highlight specifically because I think these are really important for the community to know about and for you as leaders in the community to be able to share about with people that you know. One is our Business and Reference Center. At our previous location, we moved just over a year ago. It was the Duke Street Business Center. This is a really amazing resource. It includes several databases for businesses and for nonprofits. It's especially good for fledgling businesses, startups, small businesses and nonprofits, because it provides resources that otherwise they would pay a significant amount of money to invest in themselves, but they can access those things like doing market research for free at the library. And if you're familiar with SCORE, it's a local nonprofit business mentoring program. SCORE mentors direct all of their mentees to our business center to access those resources. So if you know somebody who is considering a business, runs a business, needs some resourcing, likewise nonprofit, send them our way. There's grant research tools that we ourselves use and are free to the community that likewise a nonprofit would have to pay to have their own subscription. And the other that's, I think, really, really cool is our Sensory and Autism Resource Center. And this is in our children's area, but it's available for anybody that has a family member or an individual on resources, things that people can try out for free, like a weighted blanket that might be a bit much for a family to invest in before knowing whether it will work. They can try it out at the library before doing that. And it's also a place where a child or an adult can go to have a little less sensory input while they're in the library. Next. If you've not been into the new space on North Queen Street that's right there in Ewell Plaza, please stop by and visit us. And if you'd like a tour, ask one of our staff or ask for me, and if I'm around, I'd love to show you around. really enhance the accessibility in many ways for patrons. I grew up in Lancaster County. I loved the old library. I do have sentimental attachments to it. But this library is way better at serving the community and today's needs. So 21st century technology. We have a beautiful outdoor terrace. And the other thing that I want to highlight specifically, again, so that the community knows, is we have a lot of meeting spaces and much more meeting space available to the community than what we had in the old space. Small flex office that's good for meetings of maybe 6 people, up to a space for 250. And these can be birthday parties, they can be a board meeting, they can be whatever sort of program, and we have information on our website for how to rent out those spaces. There's a lower price for nonprofits. And I specifically want to mention that flex office, because that flex office is available to nonprofits to meet with clients in that space for free. And so we have groups that proctor exams or meet with a client, want to have a more private conversation. They're able to use that space. So we really want the community to be aware of not only the spaces for rent, but also that benefit to our local nonprofit partners. Next. To give an idea of how the library is funded, 62% of our funding is internally generated, and 38% comes from government funds, and that includes local municipalities like yourself from Lancaster County and the state of Pennsylvania. And the print's a little small there, but that 62%, there are some library services, like we process passports. When you go to get your passport renewed, if you would like to support a good cause, get it done at the library, because your fee goes. That's a significant revenue source. Of course, late fees, which most any of us have incurred sometime in our life, that does contribute as well. But the biggest, almost half of that is fundraised, is contributions from individuals, from families, from local businesses, from foundations, people who believe in the mission of the library and contribute to it. So we're very, very grateful for our municipal and other government partners, because that 38% is essential, but we're also incredibly grateful for our individual donors, including some of you sitting here, probably some of you sitting here, though I don't know all your names. And so we are very, very grateful for everyone who contributes to make the library services possible for the community. Next. Here's, in terms of local funding per capita, at the national level, on average, nearly $40 per capita of local funding goes towards libraries. Now, Pennsylvania's structure is a little bit different, and Pennsylvania recommends a $5 per capita local municipality contribution to help make the library services possible. Our average is $1.32 per capita. Now, some of our municipalities are more, some are less. Lancaster Public Library serves specifically 14 of Lancaster County's municipalities. And I'll come back to this towards the end when I make an appeal to you for next year. But our local municipalities are a key part of that. And the next slide shows just some stats in terms of, part of it is the local funding, that we do fall low on the local funding per capita, but you can see that we do a lot with the funds that we receive. One of the largest service areas in Pennsylvania, and one of the largest catalogs of materials in Pennsylvania. It's really exciting to see the stewardship of our staff, our librarians and other staff, how they're utilizing the funds, whether those are government funds or private donations, how those are used to really do great work and stretch those contributions. So the money that you do give, either as a municipality or individually, is really going to a good cause and making a major impact with what's being given. Next. Our goal, our plan is to review our policies on an annual basis, and over the last few months, we specifically made updates to our program policy and to our meeting room policy. And part of that meeting room policy was because we are in a new space and there are many more opportunities for local organizations, businesses, families, whoever, to use the library space as a rental. So we've updated that room policy for rentals and also the application, and at any time, all of our policies can be found on that website. Next. So we have many, many programs. This is not an exhaustive list, but just to highlight a few that are, I think, pretty cool. We have a lot in the STEM areas. If you're familiar with STEM within education, science, technology, engineering, math, sometimes STEAM includes the arts. So we have like a microscope program and a telescope program. Steinman Foundation has been really instrumental in providing funds for those areas. Builders Lab, we just added some really cool new building toys or tools for young people to use. We have laptops available for our young adults. We have a teen gaming program that's very, very popular. Explorer bags and we just added some new musical instrument bags for children out of a grant from Music for Everyone. We have technology classes that are for adults, and that covers a lot of different areas, some very basic level, like resume writing or things like that, and some that get into more difficult programs that people can learn about. And then just a lot of fun stuff. And one that we just entered recently, I'll specifically note, is a folk music series that looks pretty cool. And I think it's a monthly basis. Next. Just to give some overall, I won't go into all of these specifically, but we've continued to experience an increase in how the library is used. And a lot of that was associated with moving into the new location. So June, over a year ago, we moved into the new location, saw a huge spike in new library cards. But it was exciting that this June, again, especially I think as families got into the summer reading program, we saw many more new library cards again. And I'll note specifically one that we've been talking about is the use of public computers, which is a vital, vital resource for the community. There are many people who can't access a computer, don't have resources for it, don't have resources for internet. If you have internet at your home, you know that is expensive, right? There are people who can't do that on their own and don't have that. They come to the library, and we see the computers are being used constantly, at least some of them, almost always somebody is on them, which is exciting to see those getting used really well. Next. So thank you. Thank you for helping to make this possible and for including us in your budget. I know that local governments every year, and it seems often increasingly, have hard decisions to make in how to allocate funds. And so I know it's not a small thing to dedicate funds to the library, but we thank you for that and for your partnership. And again, for those of you who donate individually as well. This year, as a borough, you're contributing $2,861. We thank you for that and for the contributions you've made in the past and for that partnership. In terms of an invitation, a request for next year, we have been asking that each of the municipalities that contribute would consider at minimum a 4% increase, just thinking about, as you all know again, and you're probably seeing in every budget line, to pay staff more. So at least to address a cost of living, which would bring you to just short of $3,000, so maybe round it up to $3,000 as a minimum ask. And if you, I don't think you're gonna wanna jump to $5 per capita. That would really break your budget, probably. But what I would invite you to consider, either for this year or building up to it, would be to look towards that average that we currently have among our municipalities of $1.32, which roughly right now would bring you in right around $12,000. Would be, again, a significant, almost $10,000 increase from where you are right now, but would be something to build up to if you're open to it. So, yeah, want to thank you again. We do appreciate your contributions, your partnership, and also the invitation to share with you tonight. So I want to give the chance for any questions that anybody might have that I or Karina could answer.
I'd like to get free tickets, and my wife would like backstage passes when Jonathan Groff comes to town. Would you work that? No, on a more serious note, I do think it's a shame that municipalities have reduced their contribution based on one issue. With all of the things you provide for people that live in those areas, to let one issue reduce the contribution is silly to me. So I wish you better luck on that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And the last few months have given us a chance to think about how we talk about the library, and as you saw this presentation, just that wide variety. I mean, serving people who don't have internet in their homes, children who need a place to go after school and need that teen gaming club or a study room to go to, and families who want a safe place to go to connect with other families and socialize and to learn, and veterans who need to do research on medical issues.
But I also think it's important to continue to allow the community all community members to access all materials.
Mhm. Yeah.
I don't wanna see this banned, you know, you can only read these books or you can't read those books. I mean, I just have a real passion about that, and I'm certainly hoping that, and I'm saying personally, because I can't obviously speak for the rest of the council, but, you know, that we need to support the library's mission to allow,
I
you
think
know,
that's more
access.
at high school, so it's, you're not, you don't bear the burden of book banning at the library, public library, or you do?
Thankfully, we've not really.
Yeah, I
faced
think it's mostly a
any
high
pushback
school
on that.
issue for
Yeah.
that, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but thank you for that affirmation. and
I
encouragement.
have specific
49 years, as of
You
this
should
month.
make me look younger.
I could ask her. What did she say? She started working at the library when she was 5. I think so. She'll be on board with the helping to look at
For the kids, what's in the bag?
the Explorer bags.
Yeah, what's in the bag?
There's one that is bird
Yeah,
focused that has binoculars, a field guide.
yeah, magnifying glass, bug jar in the book, I think a compass goes in each one, just all the things kiddos would need to explore outside.
So are they, after they're given the bag, are they given directions, or do they just go out and try to collect bugs?
For that, for the Explorer bag specifically, no direction, they just go out and do their own thing. Now, we do have a summer reading program, called Go Lancaster through Wellspan that includes directions. It's kind of like geocaching.
Okay.
So, yeah, so a couple of different ways that we're trying to add the physical element to the exercise element to reading.
Do you have something special for seniors? Because seniors tend to be not so literate with computers. I'm talking people over 70.
Well, not specifically geared to a specific age range, but our Bits and Bytes program, which I think John spoke about, is a great thing. Amanda, who runs the program, does one that is just how to use the computer. You know, this is the mouse, this is how you use it, this is how you click an icon and open a program. So very basic like that. And then she goes into basics of Word or Excel, and it is very basic for people who don't have a lot of experience with computers.
I was wondering if there was, because there's so much for children that is offered, is there a way for seniors to meet, to get to meet, be more social?
So programming. I mean, we do have adult programs. We just did a chair yoga program today, which is popular with the older crowd. We've been doing a few more book clubs. And so we invite, of course, all ages of adult to come to our book clubs. I've been kicking around the idea of starting a new cozy mystery book club, which I hear is something that older people like. I happen to like them too. And so I was thinking about doing something like that. But yeah, any of our programming, we have a lot of financial programs right now, and we have a Medicare program coming, things of that sort. But oh, now in our new building to just sit and socialize and read a book or look at a magazine.
Do you have a coffee station?
But we have a Starbucks right down the street, and we allow covered drinks in. So,
Oh, okay,
yeah.
nice.
Yeah, and one of the things that's really cool about the new space is the variety of different types of spaces. So I talked about the rental spaces, right, and rooms like that. But yeah, in each of the areas, whether that's children or young adult or the general library, there's a lot of more like living room type seating areas where people can gather. The terrace is open again. People can go out on the terrace. So there are a lot of places. It's one of the things that has shifted, I think, in library world in general is the move away from the silent shushing type of approach to library. And so there are closed study rooms that people can use again for free if they do want a silent space. But the library as a whole can be a more active, vibrant, social type of setting. So people are welcome to gather there with friends or others. Great question, thank you.
Other questions for our guests?
Does Penn Manor or MU contribute to your funding?
I know that the university has and does at times, and we've partnered with them some. I'm trying to remember if, I want to say that Penn Manor does. I would have to, you know what, I have access to that on my phone. I can tell you if anybody else has a question, look that up.
But we do partner with them, for sure.
Mhm. Yeah. So on the financial contribution side, I'm not certain, but yeah, each of the school districts within our service area, we partner with on programming.
That population, Millersville participants, is a number of them students from the university who really are not members of the community?
Using the library?
Yeah.
We see some, yeah.
And we'll be one of the stops on that scavenger hunt. And they're seeking generally to familiarize people with students with the downtown area. And they were excited to have the library as part of that, along with business locations and things.
One of the things that happens that from Millersville is there's a professor who works there who teaches a children's literature class, and she sends her students to us. And we have a good relationship there with her and her students to help them get the books they need for that particular class. And I mean, we do see from time to time Millersville students come in to get cards. They have their Millersville ID, and that's how we consider them a resident. So we do see it with that.
And if there's somebody that I checked, I don't see Penn Manor, and I could be missing it. I don't see any financial contributions specifically from the district. If there's somebody we should talk to, I'd be happy to do that.
A question, do you put up the bookmobiles, are they operating?
Great question. So the bookmobile that currently exists is the one that the system operates. So what I said at the beginning about the different entities. So that's operated by the system. We got ARPA funding, the American Rescue Plan Act, out of COVID as a subrecipient of Lancaster City. And we'll be doing a number of things that'll contribute to some of the business center resources, early literacy, adding some computers and hotspots for internet access. And we're also adding a vehicle, a mobile library for Lancaster Public Library specifically. And starting in 2025 and 2026 at minimum, we'll be able to use some of those funds for an outreach librarian. So our current library staff does a lot of outreach already, including out to the school districts and things. But that will really dramatically increase what we're able to do in terms of outreach, which has been the top of the wish list of our management team. So we're really excited about that and what it'll mean in terms of getting the library services out into the community to parts of the community aware of the resources that will be able to come to people, which is very exciting. Great question.
What's the parking situation like?
Less than ideal. We would like it to be better. So street parking, the metered street parking is available, and there is a parking garage. We're actually in a parking garage. We're the bottom of a parking garage. So people can come from the parking garage easily down to the library.
But either
you asked about seniors. So like seniors who get the RRTA senior card is a great option to get to the library for free. But we also, because we have the Mountville branch, when that is a barrier for people, that is one of the recommendations that we make, that if people are able to drive out to the Mountville branch, it is free parking there. They're not at the downtown branch. Or we also added some extra, we've increased our evening hours as well. Or pick up kid and still want to go do something at the library, but also for each of those additional evening hours, it's during free parking. So people can come during the free parking hours.
All right. Mr. Hanley, we thank you for your time and your
Thank
presentation.
you. Appreciate your time, and thank you again for your partnership and contribution.
Very well. Moving on to reports of boards and commission. The Blue Rock Regional Fire Commission.
Yes. A meeting was held on August 1st at the Millersville station. The financial report was reviewed, and over the summer, utility costs go down because there are less personnel in the stations. So they're presently on budget, but the training is over budget due to several new members, and so that is not an issue. They balance out. A new vehicle replacement plan will be prepared to coincide with the consolidation of the two stations. There's a $15,000 in holding $40,000 back towards the new building. When construction begins, that money will be made available. The reimbursement request has been made to FEMA for $37,000. An appraisal made in 2021 for the Civic Center and Station 907 combined came in at $520,000. In 2024, it is expected that price will have gone up. And that Civic Center is where they cook all of those, make all the preparations for the Tomato Festival. So the renting of the Civic Center right now, we're getting $750 on a month-to-month basis. Originally, the land purchase for the new building was completed in July, but was expected in July to have been completed. But it's now has gone into August, and at the time of this, I didn't know, but the land has been purchased. So there is a 120-day period of due diligence and payback clause if the land cannot be built upon. So on the due diligence and the archaeological study, several proposals were discussed, and the board unanimously agreed to hire Chronicle Heritage and authorize the Fire Commission to sign all contracts after approval related to the land and buildings. That's it.
Very well. Thank you very much. Moving on to council committee items for action. For reasons not worth going into, the Finance Advisory Committee did not convene at our first meeting this month. Again, apologies for getting caught in traffic. However, I would like to move forward with the approval of our July financial reports. And I will make that motion to approve the July financial reports. Since we did not meet in committee, I will need a second.
Second.
Second from Phyllis. Any discussion required for those financials? Any questions? Seeing none, I would ask that we then vote. All those in favor of approval of the July financial report, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Abstentions? Very well. Motion passes unanimously. Welfare and Public Works with a discussion of a motion to advertise the ordinance to amend Chapter 305 to revise the sewer rates. The ordinance in front of us is essentially outlining the presentation that we saw on our first meeting in August, in which rates will remain the same through December of this year, with an increase from $110 per residential unit to $100. Similarly, with similar increases every 2 years, terminating in January of 2029 with an ultimate increase of $157. There will be commensurate increases with commercial units. Is there any discussion on this ordinance? Yes, the manager has something to say.
I just for clarity's sake, the ordinance that's in front of you was written with 3 increases in mind. You saw a rate study of 10 years worth. We put in the 3, but if council is more interested in just doing one at a time, that's an option as well. So that I just wanted to put that out there, that it doesn't have to necessarily read that way. It could be just 2025, or you could do 2025 and 2027, or all 3 that's written here. It's up to you all.
So in listening to the committee discuss this, The idea that I had that may, rather than have a blanket increase every 2 years, a requirement, like we'll perform the increase in 2025 to $124 for our residential units and the commensurate increase for commercial, and then 2 years after that, a period of review. This is the first time that Millersville has decided to go with a plan looking forward for the sewer rate increase. I think it is long overdue. I do think it's needed, especially with some of the construction that seems to be on our horizon. Having that money for improvements and for upgrades is certainly money that would be well spent. But rather than try to eat the whole elephant, let's take a bite, review before each of the individual increases would be my recommendation.
Because we have so much coming in, we don't know if we're gonna need those other ones with as much, the communities that are being built.
Other points of discussion?
I just want to say that at the last meeting, when we did discuss this, it was voted on, approved it out of committee, so we know that this is the direction that the Public Works Committee feels we want to take.
Yeah.
Right, but we didn't vote on whether we're doing all three or just one
No.
at a time. So that's what
But we knew this is just for advertising the ordinance.
Absolutely, and I would certainly be in favor of the ordinance as written. These little tweaks I'm recommending, I think, are simply improvements, but certainly not something I'm going to get hung up on. This is absolutely needed. I've been convinced how we want to handle it as we move forward and as this progresses. I think because of the change in direction, writing a review process into this before each increase is a worthwhile step. That being said, this ordinance did come out of committee and was approved. So if we would like to advertise the approval is to advertise this ordinance.
Mm-hmm.
Very well. Is there further discussion then before moving on to the motion?
So are
Some of the recommendations?
Well, I have read this and I was open to doing it the way this has been written. However, I can see why we may want to step back and review at different points in this. You know, not just blanket it out for all these years, but I consider this because we're not gonna make it the way we're doing it now.
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's already been discussed and
Yeah.
voted on. I'm just talking about, I mean, I agree with you, just one at a time. And then review.
Adjustment and then vote on the adjusted version in September?
That's fine.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, we'll move on that way then. In that case, Mr. Mayor, I know we already heard from you once, but do you have anything you'd like to add in your report?
We have to.
Oh,
vote to
very well.
advertise.
But are we going to advertise without making those adjustments?
No, we'll make those adjustments, and then when you see it.
Okay.
For
It'll
vote.
be there.
That
This
was-
is just vote to advertise, not vote to approve the ordinance.
Okay.
Right.
All right, we don't need the amended ordinance to advertise it?
No.
Very well. In that case, I will hear a motion to advertise the ordinance in whatever form it takes. Do I hear such a motion?
I so move.
All right, and since it came out of committee, we don't need a second. I believe we've discussed this ordinance to amend Chapter 305 to revise the sewer rates. Please indicate so by saying aye. All opposed? Abstentions? Very well, motion carries unanimously. Now then, if there's no other interruptions. Mr. Mayor?
Thank you very much. Just a couple of things. First of all, I just want to say sincere thank you to our Civil Service Committee who pulled together a national night out last Tuesday night. For those, there are to attend. Our police department gave tours of the police department. Millersville University was there. Their police department was there, and we had several hundred people in this parking lot between here and the funeral home. And it was a fantastic night, beautiful night. And thanks to Rebecca, she was there, had a table set up, handing out information about the borough. But the credit goes to our Civil Service Committee for actually pulling this together. And I believe this may have been the first in many, many years that the borough actually had its own. I was walking and talking with a lot of the crowd that night. I heard a lot of complaints about weeds in our borough, specifically at curb lines and sidewalk lines that have gotten outrageous. I just had a conversation before the meeting with Rob Moyer. He's going to be looking at that, and specifically, we're 1 month away from our parade, and he's specifically going to pay attention to the parade route. So our parade route to all our visitors looks pristine for that event. So beyond that, Rob knows, and if anybody sees any addresses that this is a problem, please make sure that Rob gets them. So, but we are going to address the parade route first, with his help.
Cleanup company's coming.
And I'll turn it over to the chief, and he can discuss the July monthly report.
Thank you, Mayor. I will give you July's activities, monthly activities for July for the police department. We answered 245 calls for service. We handled 7 ordinance complaints, 1 involving animals, 1 for noise, and 5 others. We made 4 criminal arrests, all 4 were adults, 5 Part 1 offenses, and cleared 5 Part 1 offenses for 100% clearance. We had 27 Part 2 offenses and cleared 25 for 93% clearance. We had a total of 27 traffic violations, 6 for speeding, 21 for other traffic violations, 5 vehicle accidents, issued 21 parking tickets, patrolled 3,850 vehicle miles, about 56 bicycle miles patrolled, and we did pick up 1 more of the serious investigations involving a fraud that's actively being investigated and closed out with an arrest on a child sex offense case. That's it.
Thank you, Chief. And we'll move on from there to our university report. Back in action.
Good evening, folks, and thank you for allowing me to be here this evening. It's wonderful to see you all, and wonderful to be out during the start of another school year. This in your own classrooms, and God bless you. So, our 2024 opening week. My gosh, what a great weekend. Started last week with our freshmen moving in. Move-in day was very smooth. We had a whole bunch of new students move in. We opened up the school year with just around 100% occupancy residence halls. A far cry from during COVID when we were down to 33% occupancy, right? So we opened with about 100% occupancy. We've had a few students who decided that college wasn't for them already and have since departed, which always happens in the first week of school. So I can stand here today, we're right around 99% occupancy in our buildings. Now, I should also tell you that this semester, for those of you that live on that side of campus, we have reopened Bard Hall to upper class students. And we opened that up for upperclassmen who were looking for a little more affordable option rather than the suite style modern living that the villages provide. So we're happy to do that. 70 students take us up on that offer to go up into the second and third floors of Bard. So we're happy about making that new opportunity available to them. So we opened with around 1,250 first-year students, around 300 transfer students. Back over 7,000 enrollment. I say that because it's an important milestone for us. We had topped out pre-pandemic around 7,800 students, and our big goal was to top 8,000 or so. That was one of our strategic goals. Well, with the pandemic and all those losses, we dropped all the way down to 6,700. And so we've been trying to creep back up and reach thresholds again. So getting back above 7,000 was our first goal, and we accomplished that with the opening of this semester. We had some exciting events there for opening weekend, which we now call Epic Weekend, highlighted by the annual candle lighting ceremony around the pond, which I know several of you were there. I don't know if you can have any more heartwarming opening event than the candlelight ceremony. And it gets better. It seems to get better every year. And only made better by the fact that we have alums who actually come back and spend time with our students. So thank you to all the alums who actually come back, including several members of council here. So great stuff, and can't thank you enough for doing that. We've been doing in Millersville Borough and around the area to help families with FAFSA. FAFSA, as you know from earlier conversations with me, has been a major disaster and rollout this year. Many of our kids and their families in the borough, in the county, just were stymied by the new FAFSA process. So we've been reaching out to them. We've been providing open houses on FAFSA and also doing a lot of personal one-on-one supports. So that continues even right now into the fall semester. I should tell you that we recently received from the Department of Labor of Pennsylvania a $98,000 digital literacy grant, workforce development grant. We're going to be working with, on this side of the county, so we're working with the Borough of Columbia and that side of Manor Township on this new grant, including, of course, any folks from Millersville who want to travel over to Columbia. We're going to be working out of the Columbia Library, providing workforce development support. Again, it's digital literacy, helping underemployed and unemployed folks understand how to do resumes, how to understand job searches, how do you use digital technologies to help support workforce development. That's the work that we'll be doing with that grant. I should tell you that we've started work on the Chick-fil-A. So the new Chick-fil-A, which is going into the SMAC, in the galley area of the SMAC, that construction has started, and so we'll be opening that up in January as part of our spring semester. And that, of course, that Chick-fil-A, while we won't have a drive-up window because that would be a non-conforming allowance here in the borough, while we won't have a drive-through window, we will have walk-in service. So any member from the community who just doesn't want to drive to Belmont, doesn't want to. You can go park that back on campus and walk in and have Chick-fil-A. But again, walk-in service. And I can tell you that we will not be coming back before you asking for some sort of a, never say never, but I do not imagine that we would ever come back to you asking for a variance of that nature. I can never see us having a drive-through window of Chick-fil-A. But again, there you go. Opens up this week. So for those of you that are excited about football, Penn Manor, of course, had their opening weekend, opening night game. Ours is this Thursday night. We'd love to see some of you or all of you at the stadium for our opening event, which is football against Clarion. And then, of course, we have homecoming weekend. And so thank you to all of you that granted us permission to close that small portion of East Frederick for the block party. Night out, kept saying to me, why is it so early? Why is it so early? Why is it so early? I'm sure they were asking Phyllis the same thing. Why is it so early? I kept telling them, because we just don't want to have parades in 40-degree weather and or snow and or, rain. So we're hoping beyond hope that the 21st gives us a wonderful, wonderful chance at having good weather. I also listed some art events, and particularly violinist Joshua Bell, who's a world-renowned violinist, is coming to the Ware Center this fall. So tickets will be open. Tickets I think, are already open for that. So, I mean, how many times are you going to get a world-renowned violinist like Joshua Bell here? So we will. So that's great this fall. Millersville Business Association breakfast is tomorrow morning for those of you that are interested. Generally speaking, I know the mayor sort of joins us. Rebecca joins us. I hope you'll be there at Jack's.
Next Wednesday.
It's next week. It's
Next
not
Wednesday.
tomorrow. I'm
Next
sorry.
Wednesday.
It's next week. It'll be next week. Next week. We'd love to have you there. Sorry. Time runs together at this time of the year. No. And then finally, we have put out word on campus and opened up the application for a student member of your a student advisory member of your esteemed body. So we're hoping that we get a student who wants to support that and be in that role, because it's a great learning opportunity. I mean, for a student who's interested in public administration or municipal government, my gosh, what great training ground you all would provide them. So anyway, that's our hope. Okay? Any questions? I'm happy to answer.
Question for Dr. DeSantis? Very well.
Thank you, my friends.
We thank you for your time, sir.
I think that Andrew's working for a political candidate, isn't he?
Yeah, Andrew works for Izzy.
Yeah, so he came from here with the experience that he had here and went right to Izzy.
Yeah, he works for Izzy.
That's really good. That's kudos to him.
All right. We obviously don't have a Penn Manor report quite yet. I'm told it's a little bit early in the school year for that. So we'll move on to our manager's report.
Sure. First of all, I want to echo what the mayor said about National Night Out. What an absolutely fantastic evening. It was myself and Luke, our finance officer, standing at our borough table. We gave out a lot of battery bags that evening. It was a good time. But just again to commend the Civil Service Commission. So happy to support the work that they did, and look forward to round 2 next year. Well, round 3, because we had a false start with the rain. So, everybody knows that we're working on the budget. What you'll expect to see next is at the September 10th meeting of council, all of the committees will have a chance to start discussing the relevant sections of the budget that pertain to each of those committees. We expect for those meetings to have to you rough numbers. We won't have everything finalized yet, but we'll be able to have you start reviewing your relevant budget sections just to get an idea of what to expect when we present October 10th Finance Committee meeting will be the official special budget meeting where the Finance Committee will go through the entirety of the budget. And then the Finance Committee will be looking to approve the budget at their November 12th meeting, which would then send it to council for authorized to advertise at the 12th meeting, with then the adoption on the 10th. That is we've been having lots of fun crunching numbers in the office. And then I just wanted to remind again, Saturday in the Park, the Millersville Business Association event happening on September 14th. It'll be an exciting September. We'll have that one Saturday, the next Saturday parade. It'll be a big month for the borough. And that's all I got.
Very good. Thank you very much. On to my report. I am going to swap these items because I feel like the first one's a pretty easy hurdle to clear and shouldn't require a whole lot of discussion. But I would like to discuss the resolution concerning Millersville Area Historic Society use for our borough facilities. We had discussed at our last meeting making that official, realizing that through some oversight or another, we'd never actually approved them for use of this space. So we have a resolution now stating that council hereby authorizes the society to use facilities in the municipal building, including but not limited to the council meeting room as a location for its regular monthly meetings. The Society's representative shall schedule such use with borough staff and borough council, and any borough boards or commission shall have priority in the use of the facilities. There's a lot of also whereases and so forth, but that's the bulk of it. Does any member of council feel the need to discuss any part of this resolution?
I just have a question because, in looking at the other one, it talks about that, anybody that would want to use the building is gonna have to have liability insurance and all that kind of stuff. So is that also part of?
No. I do not expect that the Historic Society would be required to apply for the use of this room in the way that another organization potentially may. This supersedes that, essentially. It grants the Historic Society use of the room. Other discussion, other questions? In that case, I am looking for a motion to approve resolution number, we don't have a number on it yet, but the resolution for the council to authorize the use of its building by the Millersville Area Historic Society. Mike with the motion, a second?
Second.
Second from Phyllis. Barring any further discussion, all those in favor of passing this resolution, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Abstentions? Very well, motion carries unanimously. The other item that we discussed at our general use of this room for other organizations, I had Rebecca draft what might be seen as the more permissive version of what we were discussing, which would allow all organizations, departments, committees, commissions, and boards affiliated with or supervised the Millersville Borough and Millersville Borough nonprofit organizations such as civic, fraternal, educational, and recreational organizations use of the room with approval and application. They would need to carry liability insurance and apply for the use of the room. This is, as I said, what we were discussing last time. This is perhaps the more permissive use of this space that would allow for a broad array of Millersville Borough organizations to apply for the use of this room. Again, following all of our normal procedures, not allowing food and drink, with the idea that this would be a way for this space to help serve the common good. Approve this policy.
I so move.
Is there a second? A second. A second from Mike. Discussion on the matter.
I just have a couple questions, I think. This means then that anyone following these rules can apply to use this room. So that means we're going to have an application, is that correct?
There is one drafted.
I've been having trouble getting some of this, so I did not
I
get to
didn't
see
get
that.
that either. I didn't get
I
that
couldn't get that one.
resolution either.
It's a release of liability is what it is, essentially.
Okay.
So they provide a date, intended use, name of their organization, and proof of insurance, which would then be turned into borough offices for approval.
Is there a charge?
There is no charge associated.
My next question is, because I did not get to read that, are there any conditions in there or exceptions like political groups and things like that?
Or fundraising.
Right.
Let's see here. So,
First page,
Political
last
campaigns and/or fundraising, although political forums, debates may be permitted at borough discretion.
thank you.
See that. What was the excludes political campaigns or fundraising, although political forums, debates may be permitted at borough discretion.
So it excludes that unless we approve it.
Right.
That's correct.
I'm good with that.
I'm okay with that.
Well, we haven't gotten to the vote yet, but we can do that now, I guess.
Anything you want to do.
All right, well, not anything, I still have to, no. So, in that case, all those in favor of adopting this policy for the use of our room here for those limited purposes indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Abstentions? The motion carries unanimously and, I believe, takes us to the end of our day. There is no unfinished business as far as I know. I see no need for an executive session, so I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
A second. Moved by Liz.
I got it.
Second.
Second by Darlene, she beat you. All those in favor, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Abstentions? We stand adjourned.
Sorry, who gave me? Who gave me? Okay.
I like her words.
I'm never sure.
The most important part
What was the camera setup here with your processing? Seems like you got a lot more.
be amazed because guys are creative.
No, it's okay.
The larger guys try to add spark.
Why not?
Well, a lot of